Perfect. Hello. Happy Thursday, Facebook family and Unite for Her. It is Erin, Nutrition Manager, coming to you with a very special edition of our Ask the Experts. So I'll wait a few minutes to let some guests hop on, but we're really excited to be here today. Just a few weeks ago, we had our special guests with us. We had our beauty advisor and we had the Director of Education from ACURE talking about skincare, and it was such a hit, and we got so many questions about hair care in particular that we thought we would bring them back and talk a little bit more about scalp care and hair care and products and what to look for and all that really beautiful, juicy stuff. So we've got two wonderful guests. Again, this is for our Ask the Experts segment. If you're not familiar with that, it's something that we do every month, usually at the end of the month. But again, this is our special edition that we're so excited to have. So before I introduce Jolene, I just want to give a couple reminders that you're always welcome to ask questions for this Ask the Experts edition or future editions by visiting uniteforher.org/ask. And if you don't happen to catch these, because we know it's the middle of the afternoon, maybe you forgot to hop on, all of our Ask the Expert library videos are held online in our Her library, and you can access that at uniteforher.org/Her library. So without further ado, I want to bring on our special guest. So to start, as always, we have Jolene Hart. If you are part of the Unite for Her community, then you are very familiar with Jolene. She's a former beauty magazine editor turned certified beauty and health coach. She has been the Unite for Her beauty advisor pretty much since our inception. She's a wealth of knowledge. She is also the best-selling author of the Eat Pretty series, and she's got a couple new books out, Ignite Your Light and Shine On. If you haven't checked them out, I have them. They're absolutely wonderful. So we have Jolene here. And joining her, we have Tammy Ball. She's the Director of Education at ACURE. We love our ACURE products. And she's also a licensed esthetician, so she'll really be able to talk about her experience and knowledge about skincare and hair care and just giving you, that expertise that we seek. So let me bring Jolene into the screen. She will be joining us in just a moment. Hi, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that beautiful intro, Erin. You are an incredible host.
Well, it's so nice to have you here. It's nice to see your books in the background. And I think it's important to know that, our community has your resources available all the time in print, not only through social events. So it's just so nice to have you.
Thank you. Well, this is great. I get so many questions about healthy hair care. And as a health coach, I think at least 50% of my clients have hair concerns on their mind. So we have so much to chat about today.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that even during our nutrition chats, this comes up a lot, and I'm always handing them over to you or reaching out. So I know that this is like a really needed topic to discuss. So we appreciate it. So I will hop off and I'll bring Tammy in and I'll let you get started.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just waiting to see if Tammy will be joining us. I'm sure Erin's trying to get her on, and we were so lucky to have her last month for our skincare chat. She's just a wealth of knowledge. We love our ACURE products, and she has even more info to bring today for our hair care discussion. Let's see, I see already some people that are here.
Wonderful. Jolene, I'm going to have you try and get started. I am having a little bit of issue bringing Tammy in, so I'm going to hop off and do a little bit of back-end work.
Absolutely. So I should get started with some of the questions. How about that? So my plan was to address a lot of the nutritional questions here today about hair care. As I mentioned to Erin, in the past year, especially given the pandemic and all the stress of COVID, more than half of my health coaching clients have come to me with concerns about hair loss or thinning hair. And when your hair starts to thin or you're losing it, it's extremely stressful. If you've gone through any kind of medical treatment or chronic illness or stress and you've experienced hair loss, you know there are so many parts of that journey that are stressful to you, but somehow when it comes to your hair and you see it falling out and you see it on your pillow and in the drain of the shower, it becomes something very emotional. And I think it's an emotional experience for anyone that has gone through it. But I'm here as a health coach to let you know that that process can be very temporary and that there are ways to nourish your new hair growth, to support that growth, to make it stronger and healthier, to make sure that your body bounces back through that stressful period, whatever it may be. So one of the questions we received today, and most of these questions are actually directly from you, which is wonderful. A lot of them were submitted with our last session, and we just didn't get to them because we were focused so much on skincare health. So the first question is, which foods or supplements will help healthier hair growth? And I often get clients come to me saying, I'm taking my biotin. How come my hair is not growing in thicker and stronger and fuller and healthier? So biotin is a nutrient that is so key for hair growth, but if you're getting enough through your diet already, which a lot of us are, if we're eating the rainbow, eating those well-rounded meals with protein, with healthy fats, with abundant produce, then we're likely getting our biotin through our diet. And supplementing above and beyond what we're getting from our diet isn't necessarily going to improve your hair health further. So that's an important thing to know, that you can supplement, but biotin alone in itself is not really shown to be the magic cure, the magic bullet for hair growth, especially if you're already getting it through your diet. So what can you do? You really want to focus on ample, high quality protein. So for us as women, I have a lot of clients. I know women, myself in my life, that we maybe skip meals or go lighter on a meal and we forget about our protein intake. Now, as you age or as you're going through any kind of stressful time, your body could use more high quality protein. And this can align with your diet. If you are plant-based, if you're vegetarian, pescatarian, you can choose the sources of protein that align with the way that you like to eat. But what I would recommend is that you make sure that you're getting ample high quality protein and that you're spacing it out so you have a little bit at every meal. If you are snacking during the day, try to have a little bit of protein in your snack. Pick a nut butter along with maybe a piece of fruit that you would have, or do a hard-boiled egg. Do something that's going to give you a little bit of protein, which also supports a steady blood sugar, helps you to burn energy slowly and evenly, and will be a really nice building block for your hair. That keratin protein is what makes up your hair, and you really want to have enough of that protein to make sure that your body has the building blocks for your hair. Now, beyond that, if it aligns with your diet, I love recommending supplementing collagen peptides. Now, these are wonderful for skin. They help your skin to be a little more dewy, to retain moisture. But I have also seen personally, anecdotally, in my clients, that this really helps with hair growth as well, because it is a wonderful source of protein and those amino acids that are going to be so key to support hair growth. So you can look for a high quality source of collagen peptides, and they're super easy to add to a smoothie. You can stir them into a cup of tea or your oatmeal in the morning. They kind of should be seamless and just sort of be a part of the meal that you're eating and not take over the flavor. So they're nice to add to a lot of different things. So high quality protein, collagen can be wonderful. Beyond that, make sure that you're getting adequate iron intake. So iron levels, if they're low, can be a source of hair loss. And when you're getting your iron intake, you want to make sure that you're absorbing it well. So pairing it with a little vitamin C can be key. So say you're going to have a pastured egg scramble for breakfast. Pair it with a little bit of strawberries or some citrus or something that you know has some vitamin C in there to help you absorb more of that iron, and that can be key for your healthy hair growth, is that those iron levels. Another key nutrient is zinc. So zinc is needed to make the keratin protein that makes up your hair, and it's also been shown to help speed up the recovery of damaged hair follicles. So say you go through a period of stress, zinc can be a nutrient that comes to your rescue. So where can you find zinc? Lots of nuts and seeds like pumpkin seeds, cashews. They're abundant in oysters, mushrooms, organic chicken, shelled hemp seeds I love for both zinc and iron. So those are all key foods. You also want to make sure you're getting lots of omega-3s for healthy scalp and to nourish the moisture in your follicles. So healthy scalp and shinier hair and healthier follicle growth can be through wild salmon, hemp, flax, chia, even sardines can be a really good source of omega-3s. And also just healthy fats in general, avocado, raw nuts and seeds, coconut, those are wonderful for your scalp health, which really does trickle down to the health of your hair overall. And then a few more, you want to optimize your vitamin D levels, of course, check those. And then your B vitamins, so folic acid, niacin, those are going to work in concert with your biotin. And you can find those in leafy greens, in organic poultry, tuna, peas, all kinds of different things will have those good B vitamins. So that's a nice, well-rounded spectrum of hair nutrition. So remember, start with the protein, space it out over the day, get your iron and your zinc and your B vitamins and your healthy fats, and those are going to be the core of nourishing your healthy hair growth. Let's see.
Hi.
Hi.
Me again.
Yes, how's it going?
Good. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty bringing Tammy in on our end. So I just thought I would hop in and help you go through some of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And as people are commenting, we've got a couple people watching and share some of the questions that come through on the chat with you.
Absolutely. Would you, and this is a suggestion, do you want me to do a few questions and then would you switch out and bring Tammy in? Would that work?
I love that idea. Yeah.
Okay, so how about I do a couple more that are nutritional related in my wheelhouse, and it's also your wheelhouse too. So I just went over some nutrition for hair growth. If you want to add anything in, we talked about key proteins, those beauty minerals, the omega-3 fats for healthy scalp.
Yep.
All of those are
omega-3 fats. I was going to say is the first thing that comes to mind, just to really help with growth and cell renewal. So absolutely.
Absolutely. And if you've gone through a period of stress or treatment, your body gets depleted, and sometimes you forget how hard your body is working for you. And I tend to see this, that when you become depleted, the first place that you see the depletion is in your skin, is in your hair growth. It's just kind of like those extras. Your nails won't grow as strong or as thick because your body is pulling those resources into where it really needs it, right?
Right. And I think that's a really good point that you bring up, that it's sort of drawing in those nutrients. So that's why it tends to show up in those places. Yeah, absolutely.
So another question was, what should I do if I think I'm losing more hair than normal? So normal hair loss is about 100 hairs a day, which is quite a lot. No one's going to sit there and count their hairs, but some people get upset, and it is within the normal range. Maybe they're a fast grower and they also shed quickly. But definitely, like I mentioned, check those iron levels. Get your iron stores checked. Your ferritin is something that your doctor can check. And if that's depleted, that's certainly going to reflect in hair loss and slower hair growth. You also want to get your thyroid checked. I find that can also be a root cause. Beyond that, any kind of malabsorption. So say you've been having gut issues and maybe you're not digesting things so well, take it easy on things. Make more smoothies and soups and foods that you can absorb well. And those are all important for making sure that your body is getting that nutrition. The fourth thing, the sort of wild card, is that there's a condition called telogen effluvium, which basically means that you go through a period of stress. It could be stress from an illness, from radiation or chemotherapy. It could just be something stressful in your life. It could be a hormonal change that you go through. And this can push a large number of your hair follicles into a resting phase. And so when this happens, this will delay new hair from being produced. And you usually see about 2 to 3 months after whatever that stressful incident or trigger was, that you lose a lot of hair. It can actually be up to 50% of your hair that is shed. And it is a temporary condition. It usually lasts 3 to 6 months. And then those follicles will sort of be activated again and start producing. And you will know that by seeing new fringe or new hair growth along your hairline. It's so stressful while it's happening. But if you have checked out your iron, if you've checked out your thyroid, if you know you are nourishing your body well, and you still can't find a root cause, I find that telogen effluvium, which is so frustrating, right? Like the stress happened 3 months ago and now you're experiencing it. It can be scary, but it is temporary and it is totally reversible, and your hair growth will come back. So that's something to consider as well.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I know that just in talking with different people, the question often in terms of the delay in hair loss, and you might not put 2 and 2 together, or why is this happening now? And we sort of think, oh, if we're going to see changes, we'll see that immediately, or we'll kind of see it as you're going through something. But to know that, yeah, there is really something going on, and that delay in hair loss and regrowth is a normal thing. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I don't think it's something that all of us recognize or would know about otherwise.
It's not. And I will tell you, the number of people who have found, after how stressful 2020 was, that at the end of the year, all of a sudden they're experiencing hair loss that maybe was triggered by something that happened in April or May, when things were really stressful. So you can look back at what was going on in your life and know that if that is happening, it is temporary and it's reversible, and that can hopefully lower your stress level as it's happening.
Yeah, definitely. We did have a question come through, Jolene. Barbara asked, she said her hair is shedding like mad, but she thinks it's still within normal range. Feels like her diet's in a good place. Anything else that she could do?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you probably hear this all the time, but lowering your stress level is really, really important. Prolonged high cortisol, which is your stress hormone cortisol, makes it really hard for your adrenals to produce hair growth hormones. And beyond that, shedding happens faster. So make sure you get in those self-care, self-soothe practices. If you notice that you have a stressful day, you don't get a lot of breaks, take timeouts. Do breathing exercises, like mindfully lower that stress hormone as much as you can. And supplementing a little extra vitamin C helps with your cortisol levels. Even things like a little bit of dark chocolate can help lower your serum cortisol. But it's funny, because your reaction when your hair is falling out is to freak out, right? To boost your stress.
Yeah.
And so you have to just take a breath, right?
Yep.
And just know, okay, I can't spiral out of control. This is happening. It's temporary. My body has everything it needs to regrow. Breathe and kind of help yourself through it by managing your stress. And that's something that's really important.
Yeah, and I see the comment here, right, the act of losing hair is stressful in and of itself. So, just keeping that mindfulness, positive talk, you will get through this, deep breathing, those sort of stress reducing activities, and just know you will get through this. So important.
Absolutely. Right? And, we are talking about all these possible triggers. We didn't mention that going through chemo and radiation and certainly as a side effect to certain medications, hair loss can be, a natural side effect of those things. So you might have fine iron levels, your thyroid might be okay, and it could be a side effect of a medication as well.
Got it. Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do another one. We had, I lost my brow hairs during treatment and I don't know what to do. I tried to use a brow pencil, but it smudges. So this is tricky. Certain brow pencils are waxier than others. And certainly today it's like 90 degrees outside. Like anything that's waxy that's going to smudge is going to be a mess. So yes, brow pencil doesn't always work. If you do have a brow pencil that's a little bit less waxy, you want to use short strokes and then use what is called a spoolie brush. It's basically a little tiny brow brush to brush upward, and that gives it the look of a more natural kind of feathered brow. So
Okay.
you can't just use the pencil. You've got to use the spoolie brush with it to give it the effect that it looks. Otherwise, it looks like you're just drawing on lines, you know.
The line. Yeah.
But there are some companies that offer what they basically are stick-on brows, almost like a little wig that is for a brow. Volition Beauty is one company that I know, and you buy a set and they generally last about 3 months. They adhere very well. They're not going to fall off if it's raining out. And if you're really struggling and you want something to put on, especially if you're going out, you have an event to go to, that's another great option while you're waiting for those hairs to grow back in, because they do generally grow back in. It just might take a little bit longer.
Good. Oh, that's good to know. And it's nice to know that people have options if they don't feel comfortable with a brow pencil, that they have options that look natural, that they can get some good time out of. It's not something that's like a reusable one and done.
Exactly.
So it's nice to know that there are options, because, you know, I think eyebrows, they do something to frame the face. It's, you know, sort of like our hair, it's part of us. So having some options for sure. And I'm glad that you actually brought that up. I was talking with Tammy a little before, and she had a really great video and was talking a little bit about adding eyebrows and drawing them in. And you know, she was speaking a little bit more about how that whole act. So perhaps we can.
She might have a favorite product to share too. That's a great thing. And I see in the comments we already have someone sharing their favorite brow product too. So it's nice to share resources. If you found one that you love,
absolutely,
please chat it in so everybody can hear what the favorites are.
Absolutely. We love.
And then I'll do one more quick one. We had just a question about salon hair coloring. So is highlighting your hair any safer than permanent color because it doesn't touch the scalp? And I will say yes, to some degree it is. Anything that's not sitting on your scalp, you know, your scalp is very permeable, just like your skin barrier. About 60% of what touches it is absorbed, and that's, you know, a rough estimate, but we do know that that it is a permeable layer. So anything you're putting on your skin is going to absorb into your body. So certainly highlights are going to be a little bit safer if you can find a salon that uses a more natural hair coloring product. So some of these salons will call themselves organic or natural. The products usually are not organic because, kind of like nail polish, hair dye is not an inherently natural thing, you know, but you can find products that do not use ammonia and PPD and resorcinol, which are the top 3 chemicals that are they're noxious, so you're going to smell them very strongly, and are the ones that present a lot of the risk in hair dye. So you can find salons that don't use hair dyes with those 3 ingredients, and you'll notice when you get your hair dyed there that your eyes are not watering, it does not stink. And of course, having great ventilation helps too. So knowing the salon has your interests at heart, if they have good ventilation, and you know, that's all going to support less and less exposure. So all of those are ways to make it a little bit safer for your body if you're dyeing your hair.
I love that. I love that. Wonderful. Yeah, because I think, you know, sort of coloring in general is a little bit of a concern. I know we've got really great resources online that you've approved and offered, and we're always building on that. So it's just really good to know.
Absolutely. And yes, that reminds me, in our downloadable guide of companies, there are some suggestions for natural hair color. What I hear a lot is, my hair's growing back in gray. What do I do? And there is a wonderful company called Hairprint that uses their proprietary formula, does not use any dyes. It actually restores the natural pigment from your hair.
Wow.
And it works best if you are a brunette to darker. It's not great for blondes, but if you were a brunette or you were, you know, darker and your hair is now gray, you can use their product to restore your pigment. And sometimes as your body, you know, passes through a chemo radiation and your hair is growing back in, you may find that the pigment actually changes. So you may get a little salt and pepper. Those follicles certainly can change to restore color over time.
Yeah, and I've even, in chatting with our women, have heard that it comes in salt and pepper, but then as it continues to come in, they do get their color or a different color back. So yeah, absolutely. Our body's always working to heal and restore, and so having that color, absolutely.
It's amazing that you can actually reverse that graying. And so part of that is lowering your stress levels and nourishing your body and just kind of trusting in that healing process.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, you should bring in Tammy because I know she has a ton to add to this conversation.
Great products. I know. All right. Well, Jolene, we love to have you. Thank you for sharing and imparting all of your knowledge with us.
My pleasure.
So let's bring in Tammy in just a few moments. I love this. Hi, welcome. So sorry about the tech difficulties earlier, but you know, we kind of move and shake as we go.
Okay, I don't know if I'm solo or if I'm with Jolene. I guess I'll wait for a second and then I'll kind of jump in too.
Nope, Tammy, you should be with me. Can you hear me okay? Ooh.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Obviously, I know Jolene really did an excellent job with all of our questions thus far. And really, my answers were very similar. So I think we're thinking in the same page. And I was just going to maybe add to what she's already shared and maybe reiterate the questions for you. So I think the first one was, my hair is coming in thin, white, and gray following chemo treatment. How can I best care for this fragile hair, and will I ever get my hair, my brown hair back? So I think she was just speaking to that. I know she spoke a lot about stress levels. So that was something that I had in my sharing as well, was to lower stress levels. So we certainly want to do that normally, but especially during treatment. I think for fragile hair, my sister's actually going through chemo treatment currently. So I actually spoke with her this morning to get some advice that just personal from her and what she's implementing with her treatments. And also I think there was a question about thinning hair around the crown. And it is a very personal decision. It can be very emotional. So I think checking with your stylist and what to do as far as if you decide to cut your hair or if it's continuing to fall out naturally. So that's very personal. But I did read, cutting your hair versus shaving your head, like cutting it down to like a buzz cut length is really healthy, because when your hair follicles are regenerating, the chemo actually kills off the hair follicle entirely. And your hair grows in 3 different cycles. So you have a beginning, a middle, and an end stage. And I know Jolene was also sharing about a condition. I think the first part was telogen, but I can't remember the other. So telogen stage is when your hair is through the scalp. So that's kind of what you see. But the anagen and catagen are underneath the surface of the skin. So with chemo, it basically dissolves that whole process. But once chemo is terminated or ending, you have a regeneration of that follicle. So it keeps the scalp more healthy if there's some hair still there, and then just letting it naturally fall out. So I think that's part of the regrowth process. And again, the hair is very fragile, so it will take some time, I think, with color application, just because those hair follicles tend to be a little weaker. So again, we want to avoid excessive brushing as that new hair is regenerating. It can actually pull out the hair follicle at the root. You have a hair bulb that is attached to a part of your anatomy called the dermal papilla. So this is the life support to the hair fiber. So it actually pulls it out, or can pull it out. So we want to keep that intact. Also, with drying your hair when it's starting to regrow, maybe air dry and then also avoiding heat or styling products. And then lowering stress levels, of course. So I know Jolene mentioned a lot of great ways to do that, and then making sure to be mindful. But obviously with hair, that does put you kind of in a stress mode. So trying to lower our cortisol levels, essential oils. I know my sister's been using a lot of different oils to meditate, also to apply topically, which our argan oil is a great oil. It's in our essentials category. And this is great to apply to the hair for moisture. So really rich in fatty acid component, which offers hydration. So that definitely will assist with hair growth. And then using that also as an oil to massage into the scalp. And then as far as the color, I think, again, it's very personal and everybody's treatment is different. So it's hard to say what your hair color will look like over time. I know Jolene addressed that as well. So maybe coming in a different color initially, and then once the roots are more established and stronger, that hair color resumes back into your hair. But then also the texture might change. So if you have curly hair, it might be more straight. And then similarly, if it's straight, you might have more of a curl pattern. So hard to say following chemo treatment. I think with the missing brows question, so brow hairs being lost during treatment and using a waxy pencil, I had the same exact answer that Jolene had. So waxy products can actually move or shift. Certainly if you rub it, it can rub off. So setting it with a setting powder is great. I also have the stick-on eyebrows, which my sister shared with me. I was not aware of that, which I think is genius. And they look really natural. I did go online and look them up. So that is an option. You could certainly color on top of those for, your depth of color, light, medium, or dark. And then certainly go the route of mapping on the brow using a combination of a pencil and powder, making sure that's set in place. And then I did share with Erin, and I think it's probably linked on the call today or the live stream today, that Look Good, Feel Better. There's a video that is really excellent for recreating brows. So that would be a good resource tool that I know she's included and made available. So thanks.
Tammy, can you hear me? Tammy, can you hear me okay? Okay, perfect. So I'm in the feed with you now. And I was just going to say, I will be sharing that link for from Look Good, Feel Better for those that are in the chat, because I think it's a really great video.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good. Okay, I'll let you keep going because we're learning and learning, so you can continue to go through. Or if there's any other products you want to mention, scalp care. I know as an esthetician you have a ton of good stuff to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of shampoos, and I'm just going to jump to the question about scalp care, since that obviously involves skin and hair. And your skin, hair, and nails are in one body system called the integumentary system. So they're all together. And I think our question was, how can I best care for my scalp during as my hair regrows? So kind of talking about follicles and kind of reactions on the scalp. So you want to keep your scalp clean, choosing wisely, of course, with clean product. So we have ultra hydrating shampoo and conditioner with ACURE. It's in our yellow packaging. And this contains argan and pumpkin seed oil. I think Jolene mentioned pumpkin seed in the nutrition part of the call today. And this is really helping with thinning hair and hair loss. So we would recommend this normally as an everyday hair care shampoo and conditioner to help with thinning hair and hair loss. So we definitely would recommend this to use probably during your chemo treatment and even soon after to help promote hair growth and keeping the hair soft. Also, the pumpkin seed oil helping with that thinning hair or hair loss aspect. So I would recommend our ultra hydrating shampoo and conditioner. And then I mentioned the argan oil. I just want to expand a little further with this question. So rubbing certain essential oils on the scalp can also be beneficial. And they're said to regenerate and then also stimulate cells. Obviously using the right type of oils, making sure that because some essential oils can be really, caustic to the skin, obviously if they're in pure form or true form. So we want to look at dilution. So sometimes you want to have a carrier oil like almond oil. Argan oil is a great carrier oil. And then adding maybe 1 to 2 drops of your chosen essential oil. Lavender is an oil that you can use on its own. It's safe for application in neat form. So that would be one that I would recommend. And then using this, leaving it on for about 5 minutes and then massaging it into the scalp to really help to stimulate follicles and then help assist with hair regrowth. Some other additional oils, castor oil can be beneficial. Peppermint is stimulating. We actually have that in another shampoo and conditioner. It's for volume, but the role of peppermint specifically is to kind of activate the hair follicles. So peppermint oil on its own. Argan oil, of course. Ylang ylang I found mentioned online when I was doing some research. I do know with my experience as an esthetician with essential oils in pure form, ylang ylang can be quite strong. So that would be one that I'd probably caution to make sure that you're diluting that into a carrier oil. And then sweet almond would be fine to use on its own.
You could take, so Tammy, let me ask, you could take any of these oils and peppermint oil, for example, and add a little drop maybe to one of your ACURE shampoos that you're using to sort of use that as an activator. Is that something that some of us could do at home?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And thank you for adding that in. Yeah. So you could customize. You can even add like our essentials. We have like 6 different oils in the essentials category, like the argan oil. This is not an essential oil, so it's more of a carrier, but you can use this in your shampoo conditioner, but you could certainly do that with essential oils as well. Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. And if a person wasn't having treatment, but they just had thin hair to begin with, using those products with essential oils, really helping the scalp, is that something that a person with just naturally thin hair might see some benefit with as well?
Yes, absolutely. And specifically the ultra hydrating because of the argan oil and combined with the pumpkin seed oil.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great.
Yeah, no, great question. Because we would recommend that normally, but then certainly alongside chemo treatment and then immediately following that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I think I mentioned the time frame, so massaging oils in for about 5 minutes. So you want to spend some time with your oils that you're using topically. And then I want to just make sure Didn't leave anything out here. And then I think for the supplement side, I know Jolene had that covered. I had pretty much the same information, like improving collagen formation. I had bone broth as one of the types of foods that you could consume if that's obviously in your diet. That really helps to encourage collagen formation in the skin. Obviously, we know stress levels affect skin, hair, the whole body. So collagen formation can be broken down as well. So improving collagen formation can also stimulate hair growth, sort of a building block of your skin. And then there are light therapy treatments that you can do. I know that's not product related, but low light laser therapy, I just found online when I was doing my own research again, that it can basically pass over the follicles and actually can help to stimulate and support hair growth. So again, that's not products, but it's something in the arena of using to stimulate healthy hair growth. And then I mentioned B vitamins, and I also had minerals, calcium, magnesium, and zinc. So obviously trace minerals. So these are really important for skin health and function, but certainly for hair. And I think Jolene mentioned those as well. So yeah. I had that in my notes to share today.
Wonderful. And we did have a question for you that came through the chat. Is olive oil good for the hair?
Yes. So I found that in my research as well. And our squalane oil is 100% plant-based squalane. It's derived from olive. So I suppose you could use that. Okay. And I did read that olive oil is very beneficial for hair growth. So I would maybe even choose the plant squalane in our essentials category as well. So
okay, great.
Packaging is our argan oil.
Oh, nice. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. And then I just, regarding hair dye, I would agree with Jolene, like highlights are not touching the scalp. So I would also think that would be safer than a permanent dye. I did check with the American Cancer Society, and on their website it said it's not clear how much personal hair dye can raise cancer risk, but it seems like there's more studies that need to be done. And then if people are concerned, I had the same feedback that doing something vegetable based, of course. I think Nature Tint is a brand that I know our reps rep when I'm working in the field, which will be very soon in September. So they recommend that as a natural alternative for hair color. It may not change hair color drastically like a permanent dye. So they're calling it drawbacks. I don't know if that would be a drawback, but it would be a healthier solution if you have a concern with that being so close to the scalp with hair color.
Interesting. Okay. Good to know.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think that was my answers. Like I said, I feel like everything that I had really paralleled a lot with Jolene, and thank you to Jolene for jumping in there.
I know. So wonderful. I like this back and forth. This is really nice though. One thing, and you may have touched on this a little bit, but when hair feels drier than normal, what can they do to treat it? Or does ACURE have particular products? I know you mentioned the hydrating line. Are there other things that we could look for? Maybe not right now, but even as we get into winter and colder months, if things sort of dry out.
Yeah, so the argan oil for sure. I think that would be the oil in our essentials category. It has a really high essential fat content and vitamin E. So it's really great for moisture and then also repair. So I would say that was one you could use all throughout the year. In that same category, our marula oil. It's great for dry skin on the face, but that would be one that you could use for hair application as well. It's a little bit lighter weight as an oil, and it has, I think, a higher amount of antioxidants, but they all have really high vitamins A, C, E, and essential fat content. So I'd say those two in our essentials category. For shampoos, the ultra hydrating, of course. And then I was thinking about, I read, I think something about apple cider vinegar. I just wasn't sure, just as I'm an esthetician, not a cosmetologist, with chemo treatment specifically, if that has any issues with the hair just when it first starts to grow back. But our build-up balancing hemp and apple cider vinegar shampoo and conditioner is unscented. So it's very gentle and leaves the hair really soft and shiny and manageable. So I think that's a great new product that we have in everyday hair care that really just helps to manage your hair. So I would definitely recommend that, but maybe like a little later after your hair is starting to grow back, or if it's just an everyday shampoo that you're using, because it's a nice one for just kind of clarifying, but not stripping the hair fiber.
Ah, good to know. And it's nice to know that there's a difference. You know, I think sometimes when we see clarifying, we think, is it going to be stripping? Is it going to be drying? But just hearing that, they're two separate things, which is great.
Yeah. So I think those two formulas, just thinking off the top of my head, the ultra hydrating is probably the one that we would recommend. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
Simply Smoothing has marula. It's more for straight styling, but I find that if you have curl pattern in your hair and you are straightening your hair, then that hair fiber is usually more coarse and is a little more dry. So it needs more assistance with moisture. So that could be maybe a third option. It has coconut and marula oil, and then the marula oil is like the essentials category. So it's going to be really great for dryness.
Okay. And actually, as I'm thinking of hair growth in general, you know, we hear a lot about how often we should wash our hair in general during the week, and sort of just general washing it less. Is that better? You know, I mean, I have friends that are like, oh, I have to wash it every day. My hair gets so greasy. Others are like, I wash it 3 times a month and it is great. Is there a connection with how often we're actually washing our hair?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of different approaches with hair care in that regard. I would say, you know, your hair is an appendage of your skin. And I think, you know, you have skin underneath your hair. And I think, you know, with your follicles, I think it's important to keep that environment clean. How often you choose to do it, I think, is a personal preference, or people do dry shampoo in between. But I do feel that, like, I'll just use myself as an example. I used to be, before I worked for ACURE almost 10 years ago, I was at Aveda and I would shampoo my hair more frequently. And then just over time, as an educator for ACURE, I just, you know, was less frequent with my shampoo, probably every 3rd day, I would say. And I feel like my hair personally is stronger, it's shinier, it's healthier, my scalp is healthier. I think with people that have curly hair, I do find that they typically are not shampooing their hair very frequently because their hair fiber is more dry. So they obviously use products that are more moisturizing. The only thing I would think is that sometimes if we wait too long, that because you do have follicles on your scalp, so the follicles can become clogged. Sometimes we have like dermatitis, dandruff that can build up if you have excessive oil. It's almost like seborrheic dermatitis on the skin. So I don't know if I have a definitive answer as to like how much is too much or when it's not enough. But I think if you're, you know, washing and shampoo, our products are tested. I think they're safe to use every day if you are a more frequent shampoo user. So I don't know if that helps you, but I think it's kind of somewhat personal, but then also somewhat scientific and like anatomical because of your hair fiber and scalp environment.
Maybe just pulling back a little bit on how much, you know, could just kind of keep things, you know, from drying out so much.
Yeah. And I think, you know, obviously your skincare you're doing daily, it's different because you don't have hair covering your skin with hair care. Our hair care actually is a different pH. So I think that's something to consider too. The skincare is 5.5, our hair care is 4 to 4.5. So I think when looking for products, whether that's ACURE or other lines, there's a lot of great lines out there, that looking at pH is important too. So especially if you're doing it every day, because you're using ingredients that aren't stripping your hair fiber, they're not stripping your scalp, and that they're healthy for the support and manageability of your hair.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, one last question that we have from Mary Brown, and then we'll wrap up our hair care. But just in terms of eyelashes, is there anything that she could use or a person could use to speed up the growth of their eyelashes? And does such a thing exist, or is it all about just creating a healthy environment to really encourage growth?
So I think we do have an oil. It's our castor oil, and we do recommend it for brow growth. So that was another product that I forgot to mention with our brow question. So you could certainly use a Q-tip and then apply that very gently to the lash line.
Okay.
And that would help with hair growth as well.
Okay. Oh, good to know. Okay. Okay. And ACURE does have a castor oil, so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Wonderful. I think we covered everything. This was really wonderful. We had so much activity online and so many watching. So we appreciate you being here. And again, thank you for your patience with all of this. We didn't want to lose you, but I'm glad it worked out. So we appreciate your time, and Jolene, absolutely. So with that being said, we will wrap up our Ask the Experts, our special edition for all about hair care and scalp care, with our wonderful beauty advisor, Jolene Hart, and Director of Education, Tammy Ball from ACURE. As always, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you have questions for either of them, we're happy to pass along. If you have more particular questions, you can go to uniteforher.org/ask. Or if you have questions for Ask the Experts series coming up, by all means, reach out to us. Again, all of these libraries, including our video today, is available at uniteforher.org/her her library. And we will have our regularly scheduled Ask the Expert series at the end of this month, at the end of July. So certainly be on the lookout for our next series. So thank you again to our wonderful experts. Thank you so much for watching with us. And we will see you again soon in just a few weeks.